everyone, it is time for the third part and final part of this page from Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford. The last butterfly is going to be colour today. You thought I was going to tell you the colour. Not yet, nearly. Let's get it in the middle first. Here we go. Have you guessed? I'd like to know what you've guessed. Put in the comments before I tell you what colour you think it's going to be. The body part, the central part, sorry, is going to be in the same colours as the others. We'll do that first, so give you time to have a little think. What colour do you think it's going to be? This is the warm grey 5. I'm going to do... I'm going to do the eye bits here. I think they're the eyes. I could try and do them a little bit darker around the edges. Like that. Yeah, I just made the mistake of going to go and look at the news while I was drinking my cup of tea before I came back to recording. That was a silly thing to do. No good can ever come of it. Although there was one more positive story about a TV show that's coming on to Netflix, which I don't get, so I can't watch. Just saying that it was an uplifting, upbeat show, and I thought that's nice. We need more of that. We really do. This is Warm Grey 4. I mean, there seems to be an obsession in the UK with sort of dramas where there's something, you know, people are, you know, upset or scarred, the characters, not people watching, by something horrific going on, and I'm like, I don't want to watch that. And yeah, sort of murder mystery seems to be quite popular. I mean, some of it's okay, I think, and some of it I'm not so keen on. I'm going to do this main outside area too with this one. I don't mind a Columbo. Now, obviously, Columbo is very old. They show lots of repeats of Columbos. You know, they're okay. The way they're put together, we're never particularly attached to the characters in a way that makes it too emotional. It's more about the cleverness of Columbo in sort of catching the person who did it type thing. I'm okay with that sort of thing. This is Warm Grey 3. And the same with, what's her name? Murder, She Wrote. They show those as well. Angela Lansbury, isn't it? You know, those are okay as well. Although I certainly wouldn't want to live in, what's it called, the place she lives? Yes, there's too many. Too many. Like Midsummer. Would you ever live there? I know fictional places, I realise, but you know. So there is our grey. So have you guessed? Have you guessed a colour? Have you written it in the comments? If not, I'll tell you what colour I'm doing, and you can write down whether you were right or not. So we're doing violet. So well done to everyone who got that right. We're going to start with the violet, and we're going to do a light layer. We're just doing it using the same method that we did the others. I don't know whether this is a good method, but it worked for the others, so I'm just sticking with it. Yes, no, I don't like hard-hitting drama and crime series, and I'm like, no. I did watch a series recently. I binge watched it over 2 days. It was only 6 episodes. Amandaland it was called. It's a spin-off from a series called Motherland, which was quite fun, about parents juggling lives and kids in school and things like that, you know. And I could relate to that, and it was quite funny. But this one is just about one of the characters who sort of moved away, and the characters are very extreme and over the top. And but it was quite amusing, you know, because you can't relate exactly to the characters because they're too over the top, so that makes it better in a way, I think. And Joanna Lumley was in it, and she was very good. I thought something that struck me about her character is she plays a grandmother, but a posh one, because, you know, her voice, I mean, I'm assuming most people know who she is. It's a very posh voice, although she's very down to earth and also very happy to be the butt of a joke, you know, comedian, actress sort of thing. And this is the mauve. We're going to do these lines. We're going to fade them towards the edge or the centre, so darker here nearer the body. Her grandchildren called her Gan Gan. Now, that is the name that our late Queen used to be called by her grandchildren, and it tickled me because, you know, obviously that was purposely done, that she as this sort of very well-to-do lady didn't want to be called Granny or Grandma. She wanted to be called the name the Queen got called by her grandchildren. I was talking to my children about it last night, saying, you know, grandparents' names, you know, it was always confusing because I only had one granny, but I had two grampies, and my mum used to refer to them by their surname, so Grampy X and Grampy Y, whatever the surname was. And my son said, not their Christian names. I was like, no, don't do Christian names. It's not the thing. It's sort of disrespectful. You know, it took me a long time until I knew what my grandfather's Christian names were. Because my one grandfather used to get called Billy sometimes, or Bill. Or more often I used to hear him called Dad by my mum. And I didn't know, I'm going to do this bit, that his name was William for a long time. William Edward. And my other grandfather, I didn't ever hear anyone calling him by his Christian name, because I didn't ever see him when he was with his siblings or people that would do that. And but I knew his name because my dad was named after him. So, well, not my dad's first name, but my dad's second name. He's got 3 names and a surname. So he was called Philip, but I don't know whether he had a second name, and if so, what it was. I've got no idea. Anyways, so yes, I thought it was quite funny that they'd taken on this name, Gan Gan. So my boys said grandparents get to choose their own names, so it's really cool. It's the only time you ever get to choose your own name. I said, is that true? Do they always? And I sort of thought about it, and I thought, well, my boys with my parents, they were grandparents already when I had my boy. My sister had already had a girl, so that name thing had been sorted, so I was never part of that conversation. But then I was thinking about my husband's parents, because my boys were their first grandchildren, but I don't remember whether we had a conversation about names or anything. I think I just left it to them, and I'm, you know, to decide really. And so they were Granny and Grandpa, and my parents are Granny and Gramps. So slightly different. I was, you could say, it's quite, when they're the same name, it's quite confusing, but I could say Grandpa's Granny or Gramps' Granny. So the boys would know who I was talking about if I was talking about them. Now I say Granny, blah, Christian name for the one that's passed, because it's okay. They're like older. They know what her name is, which you don't when you're little. And my son told me this adorable story about a child who was about 4, and I don't know if it's true, and his teacher asked him what his mother's name was, and he went, Mummy. And she went, no, I mean, you know, what's her name? And he went, no, she's called Mummy, that's her name. And I just thought it was just the most adorable story, that he just thought that, you know, that was her name. But also thinking he mustn't be around other people that address her as anything else but Mummy, which is interesting. Right, we're going to go for a different colour now. We are going to grab the purple violet. I can't decide what to do with these stripy bits. So I'm just going to colour these in. I'm just going to block them in. But yes, my son said there's this meme where it says, oh, you can choose what your name is. And they said, and the grandfather says, I want to be called, what's it? Oh, I can't remember. Some sort of, it sounds like a biker name, you know. Like a cool name. Not grandpa or anything. But my cousin, when she became a granny, she struggled with knowing what to be called because her mother was alive, so she was nanny, and they didn't use granny, grandma, any of those names in their family. They just always used nanny or nan. And she said, I can't do that because that's my mum. So she decided to be called Nanma, which was interesting. It was a bit of a different take on the name, but I don't think her grandson could talk before she died, unfortunately. But he gets told about her loads. She was fantastic. I always got on with her really well. But she wasn't that. She lived really close to me, and she wasn't that different in age. I used to play more with her sister because she was a bit older. She always had homework to do, or she was at secondary school, so she was at school longer than her sister. We used to go and pick her sister up from primary school, things like that. Because, yeah, I think there's only a year between me and her sister, whereas there was probably 3 or 4 or more. But anyway, I'm just idly colouring. I hope you don't mind. I'm just filling in. I'm trying to fade it a little bit towards the edge. So I'm just in the mood for just doing something easy. But yeah, she was happy memories. It's the way to be, isn't it? There we go. And I remember the occasion when I was probably preschool age, 3, and it was a really hot day, and we were at my grandparents' house with this lady I spoke about and her sister. I don't know where her brother was. They had a middle brother between their ages. I don't know where he was. Anyway, and my mum had got a paddling pool out in the garden because it was warm. And I think me and my sister, because we were so little, we had just been stripped down to our pants and vests sort of thing to go into the paddling pool. I think my mum always carried spare clothes because she was that sort of very well organised type of mum, so it didn't matter. And here is the violet, and my cousin, because their cousins were a bit older, they borrowed some large handkerchiefs off my grandfather to tie around their tops because they didn't have a vest on. I don't know why I did, it was that hot. Anyway, it was cold in our house, I'm guessing. And there's a really great photograph of us all in the paddling pool, and my younger cousin, her sister's got long hair and it's tied up, and she's standing behind her holding her ponytail up in the air, so she looks really silly. Oh, it's a fab photo. And we're just all, I don't really remember the day, I just remember the photos because I was quite young. But I remember a trip we had to the beach once with them. Went to the seaside, and there were quite a few different cousins there. I don't know whether we all met there, or, I mean, we did have relatives that lived at this particular beach, so I guess they were there anyway. And it was a day trip, because we lived maybe an hour away, something like that. And this cousin I was talking about, she decided that she wanted us to build her out of sand. I'm just filling this bit in a little bit, it looks a bit pale. A sort of fashion walk, runway, I guess they call them, don't they? for her to parade up and down. And so we there was a long smooth part, and then us younger kids put violet. I'm going to fill this in a little bit, just a bit darker at each corner. We're putting sandcastles all the way along the edge with our bucket and spade, and then she started parading up and down. I think she must have been one of the older ones that were there. It was great fun. But I always liked going to that beach. My sister still loves it. It's not the nicest of beaches. I think in the UK a lot of old seaside resorts have got a bit shabby over the years. You know, people tend to go abroad now rather than, so there's less money and things like that, so they get a bit shabby. But, you know, you can still have happy memories and go back and think about it. Now, we're going to come out and look at the stars. Now, we have a few different options for the stars, but I feel that, sorry, we're all a bit squiffy, because we've got these cold colours, I feel like I want my stars to be silver. I think they'll match better. And we do have a silver pencil in the Polychromos. It's not the best silver pencil, but I feel like I'm going to use it. It just feels the right thing to do. And I'm thinking I might do the moon silver as well. I'm going to have to stop there. I'm going to sneeze. Right. So this is the silver. I've sharpened it, and I'm actually going to do the moon as well in silver. Now it's quite difficult to get a nice smooth finish, I find, with this silver pencil, but I'm just going to do my best and see where it gets me, really. So I'm going to do them all the same. Now you can absolutely do something completely different. You might prefer to do some glitter, you know, or a silver metallic pen, a silver glitter pen, a plain glitter pen, things like that would look really pretty. I'm just not in the mood for fiddling around and finding pens, I'm afraid. I'm sure it would look really good, but I'm just want to keep it really simple today. So that is what I am doing. Go, and it's just, they're not symmetrical, are they? Interesting. Johanna draws stars so well. They're not completely even and perfect, but they are good enough. If I tried to do that, it would just be wibbly wobbly. I'd have to do the old one triangle on top of another triangle method, I think. Do you remember doing that? That even then it's quite hard to get them even. So not easy to draw. I guess if you practice enough, it might be. I suppose you just have to get out your sketchbook and draw like a million stars. Maybe not quite a million. Hundreds, and you probably get there eventually. I don't have that sort of commitment to drawing. It doesn't interest me or excite me. I find I get very disappointed. Whereas colouring, I find that it's relaxing and fun, and if it goes wrong I can usually correct it or be happy with it anyway. Whereas with drawing I'm much more self-critical, and I don't know why, because I'm not fair on myself, am I? But I think it's probably that people have criticised it in the past, you know, art teachers and things like that, you know. So it makes you unconfident, doesn't it? But if it was something that I really wanted to learn to do, I would. There's so many online resources, and obviously I've got Johanna's books on how to draw and things like that as well, so I'm sure I could learn it if I wanted to. But I feel like I've still got so much more to learn with colouring that I don't really need to do something else as well at this moment. So I'm happy with how I'm doing it. I'm doing it this way. But here we go. Now this is my finished page. Now if you wish, you could get your white pen and you could do little blobs of white Or you could get a black pen and you could do some little blobs of black on your butterflies, or you could mix it up and do several, and I think they would look really good. And you could use a glitter pen, and you could just make little enhancements here and there, and I think it would look really good. One thing I am going to do just before I finish is to put a little bit of shadow with the warm grey 5 under the wings here. That is the only thing I think I really want to fiddle with. I can't be doing with fiddling around with pen work today. I just feel like I'm going to smudge it because I'm not feeling too good, you know, so I don't want to do it. But absolutely go ahead and do little dots and blobs and circles, and I think it'd look really good. And if you look at pictures of butterflies, like photos, you see they've got loads of little dots, often black lines, white dots, that sort of thing. There we go. I don't know if you can see that that's made much of a difference, but I can. But I am going to leave it now. I'm getting a bit tired. I think I need a drink of water. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and happy colouring.